Bom dia, meu nome é Breno Altman e está começando mais uma edição do programa 20 Minutos. A faixa de Gaza atravessa um dos momentos mais críticos de sua história recente. Após meses de bombardeios incessantes por parte de Israel, com milhares de mortos e uma destruição generalizada da infraestrutura civil, a população palestina sobrevive sob condições humanitárias extremas. No centro desse cenário dramático está o Hamas, organização político-militar que governa o território desde 2007 e que tem sido protagonista das ações de resistência armada contra as forças israelenses. Enquanto os ataques continuam e a crise humanitária se agrava, crescem os esforços diplomáticos para um novo cessar-fogo. Egito e Catar lideram as mediações, com apoio direto dos Estados Unidos, que buscam conter o conflito sem romper sua aliança estratégica com Israel. As negociações, no entanto, são tensas e complexas. Envolvem não apenas o fim imediato das hostilidades, mas também questões como a libertação de prisioneiros, o futuro de Gaza e as condições para uma reconstrução sustentada. Nessa entrevista exclusiva, conversaremos com um dos principais líderes do Hamas, Basem Naim, sobre as posições do movimento frente às tratativas em curso, os termos aceitáveis para um cessar-fogo, o papel dos Estados Unidos nas negociações e a situação real da população palestina. Em meio à devastação, o Hamas busca apresentar ao mundo suas condições para interromper os combates e sua visão sobre o futuro da Palestina sob ocupação. Basem Naim é médico e foi ministro da Saúde no governo da faixa de Gaza entre 2007 e 2012. Integrante do Birô Político do movimento, tem atuado como um dos seus principais porta-vozes internacionais e participa diretamente das negociações com Egito, Catar e Estados Unidos. Fiquem conosco, já vamos começar. Good morning, Mr. Naim. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. It's an honor to have you on the program 20 Minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm really honored to be with you and to be through you with the Brazilian people all over Brazil.
Dr. Naim, how would you describe the current humanitarian and military situation in Gaza since Israel broke the ceasefire on March 19?
Thank you very much. I think you cannot find in any dictionary in all the languages of the world the appropriate words to describe the humanitarian disaster or catastrophe in the Gaza Strip. Israel, unfortunately, is enjoying impunity all the years along, and they have decided, after the failure, to achieve their goals by crushing the resistance or forceful displacement of Palestinians from Gaza Strip, or retrieving the captured Israeli soldiers. After they have failed, they have decided to use hunger and starvation and famine as a tool of war. Therefore, on March 2nd, they have totally closed all the borders of the Gaza Strip. Therefore, around 2.3 million Palestinians, Gazans, they were denied along these days. Now we are talking about more than 70 days, no food, no medicine, no fuel. Even inside the Gaza Strip, the Israelis have always destroyed the water wells, clinics, hospitals, storehouses for the some food which was still there. They have attacked shelter houses, secure, safe houses, and therefore we are talking about a real famine, a real disaster. We have seen people who are dying because of hunger, not because of Israeli airstrikes. They are dying because of hunger, especially children, sick people, and again, the situation is so catastrophic that you cannot really, or it cannot be easy to describe it. Sorry.
As far as I know, you were directly involved in the negotiations to release the Israeli-American hostage, Idan Alexander. Who took the initiative? What were the key conditions and motivations behind Hamas' decision to release this hostage through direct negotiations with Trump administration?
First of all, thank you for this question, but I have to correct something. All the media around the world is talking about hostages, but we are talking about a soldier who was in a tank or who was a sniper near our borders or inside our territories, who were killing Palestinians and destroying houses. I mean, he was not kidnapped from his house. He was a soldier who, and especially Idan Alexander, he was a sniper. Anyway, and we have, by the way, more than 15,000 Palestinians, including children and women and minors and sick people, who are passing through the very horrific humanitarian conditions inside Israeli jails, torture, sexual harassment, raping, also denying the basic needs and rights. We were, before the visit of President Trump to this area, we were stuck in the negotiations because we have offered through the mediators a comprehensive approach, so that we have said to the mediators, and they can tell the Israelis, we are ready to hand over all the captured Israeli soldiers in our hands. In return for this, we will get back some of our prisoners, but we want to be sure that this will lead to an end of this war, permanent ceasefire, total withdrawal of the Israeli forces. Unfortunately, the Israelis have rejected this proposal. I mean, they are talking day and night about their, between brackets, hostages, and they want to get them back. And we offer them to take all their prisoners or hostages back. But they have said, no, we want to go for partial or temporary ceasefire, 45 days, and to get back only 10 of those Israelis in Gaza. And then after 45 days, if we don't reach an agreement, either we extend and get in return more captured Israelis, or we go to war again. We have said, why should we go for a deal if you are from now planning to go to war again? We want to end this war and to get the Israelis, I mean the army, out of our territories. They have rejected this, and the situation was stuck. Therefore, there was talks and negotiations between the mediators and the Americans. What can we do to make a breakthrough? And with us, it was negotiated that maybe making a gesture to President Trump in front of before his visit to the area, by releasing Alexander Idan, the soldier, the binational soldier. This could mobilize or bring things forward. And thus, there was an agreement or understanding. It was an agreement between us and the Americans through direct talks that if we release Alexander Idan, President Trump will thank Hamas for this gesture, and he will oblige Israel on the second day to open the borders and to allow aid to come into Gaza, and to call for immediate negotiations for a permanent ceasefire. These were the motivations from our side why we go into this step.
Did Hamas receive any specific commitments or guarantees from the United States as part of this agreement?
No, they were not involved in these negotiations.
How does Hamas interpret Donald Trump's approach to the Palestinian issue compared to previous United States administrations?
Okay, this is a very, very important but very tricky question because most or all the administrations before Trump were well known, well defined. They have declared visions, strategies about their relationship to the Israelis, to the Arabs, to the Palestinians. But now, in our case here, the current administration, we are talking about politics or policies, which is up and down. On one day, Trump he's talking about he might recognize the Palestinian state. He is calling Israel to allow aid to get in, and he is sad that he see the humanitarian disaster inside Gaza. On the other day, then he is talking about taking over Gaza, controlling Gaza, converting Gaza into a freedom zone, then forceful displacement of 2 million Palestinians outside of Gaza. I think we are dealing with a very liable politics or policies. This is making the situation more difficult. But at the same time, we believe if he committed to his vision to de-escalate the situation in the region and outside the region, what we have seen in his attempts to reach a ceasefire in Ukraine, he was able to reach a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. His step with Houthis in Yemen, he adopted negotiations with the Iranians, despite the Israelis were for war and attacking Iran. All these steps indicating that President Trump is looking for de-escalating the situation in the region and outside the region. But unfortunately, the core of most of the problems in the region, which is the Palestinian question, the root of all problems and tension in the region, which is the Israeli occupation and the Palestinian question, he didn't tackle it. He didn't do enough work. He didn't his homework to do enough or to exercise enough pressure on the Israelis to end this misery, to end this war, and then to open a political track for political negotiations to give the Palestinians their genuine right of an independent, self-sovereign state. Unfortunately, he didn't do this, but we are sure without solving this question, all these steps around us will not lead to the goal he is planning to reach: peace, security, stability, and prosperity. He will fail because, again, the core of all these tensions is the Palestinian question.
Are President Donald Trump's emissaries continuing to insist on the proposal to withdraw Palestinians from the Gaza Strip and transfer the enclave to direct United States control?
Look, we have heard this yesterday. He want to get Gaza and he want to convert it into a freedom zone. And before we have heard him talking about the displacement of 2 million Palestinians outside of Gaza and converting Gaza into the Riviera of the Middle East. I think these are all illusions. Palestinians are Gaza is part of the Palestinian territories, and Palestinians are committed to their homeland. They are insisting, they are deeply rooted in this land, and they are ready to defend their existence here and to sacrifice everything for their homeland. They are not ready to leave, regardless Look, 17 months of Israeli airstrikes, they have killed more than 53,000 Palestinians. Most of them are children and women, and no Palestinians have said, I am ready to leave Gaza Strip. Therefore, these are illusions. Palestinians are not ready to leave their homeland. They are not ready to go out of Gaza. And if there is any chance to change the situation here, is to cooperate with the Palestinians, with the Gazans, about the future plan of Gaza within the Palestinian context. Palestinians are mature enough, experienced enough to decide for themselves. They are not ready to accept any plans or any leadership which is imposed from above. They are ready to do the maximum to defend their homeland.
Has this breakthrough after Idan Alexander releasing opened the door for negotiations on broader ceasefire terms or humanitarian arrangements?
Unfortunately, no. Now we are stuck again. Before the visit, we were again talking about our comprehensive approach to release all the hostages or all the captured Israeli soldiers to end the war. Israel have rejected this. Therefore, the situation was stuck. And now we are going back to the same place.
What are Hamas' current demands or preconditions for a long-term ceasefire with Israel?
First of all, to end this misery, humanitarian misery, to end the war against Gaza, total withdrawal of the Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip, and to open the borders for rebuilding of Gaza Strip, and that Palestinians can rebuild their life again. Then to open the door for a political track, for political negotiations, to reach the basics of the Palestinian genuine state. Therefore, we have said it many times, we have to end this war. To form a Palestinian unity government, we are ready to hand over the government, to leave the government in Gaza Strip for any Palestinian body, and then to go, the Palestinians united for political negotiations to end this conflict.
I would like to ask you in a more detailed form, what is Hamas' position on who should govern the Gaza Strip once the current conflict subsides?
From our side, we have said it years before that we are ready to hand over the government either for an elected body, I mean to go for election, comprehensive election, free, democratic, transparent elections, and Palestinians choose their leadership at the level of the presidency, at the level of the government, at the level of the municipalities, and we are ready to hand over the government to these elected people. Or the other option is all Palestinian factions together with the civil society to come to a consensus to form a transitional body, I mean a body, a government, a committee to run Gaza Strip until we form our official elected government. All these two options, we have put it on the table, and we have said we don't even ask to do this after the war. We are ready to do it today, even during the war, to say we are stepping back and any Palestinian body come into Gaza and run everything from A to Z, health, education, social affairs, even security, and borders, and all these public issues. And we have got from the Egyptians a proposal talking about an independent committee of 15 Gazans, Palestinians who are not affiliated politically to any party. And this committee can come into Gaza and run the Gaza Strip. We have said, yes, okay, we are ready. Go ahead. And we are ready on the second day to leave the government and to hand it over to this body. But again, because Israel is declaring publicly and talking about, we are not ready to accept neither Hamas nor Fatah nor any Palestinian, official Palestinian body. They are looking for either chaos or a body which is working under the total control and by the orders of the Israeli occupation.
What would happen with Hamas under those conditions you are ready to accept? What would happen with Hamas?
Hamas is a Palestinian political movement. Hamas is a Palestinian national resistance movement. Hamas is not only the armed wing. We believe in armed resistance as a tool to resist the occupation. We believe that this is a guaranteed right in the international law, that people under occupation have all the right to resist the occupation by all means, including armed resistance. We believe in this, but Hamas is not only the military wing. Hamas is a political wing. Hamas have a social wing, an educational wing. Hamas have a women branch, a youth branch, and all these. We are elected government. We are representing a vast majority of the Palestinians. Therefore, we have said, okay, when it comes to the government, yes, we are ready to hand it over. But our right to continue resisting the occupation by all means, diplomatically and politically, and by all other means, this is our right until we get rid of the occupation and have our state. If we have our state, an independent self-sovereign state, we are ready to put down our weapons, and these weapons will be part of the national Palestinian National Army, and our fighters will engage or will join the Palestinian National Army and be part of it. But this is only after having a Palestinian state.
What steps is Hamas taking to promote Palestinian political reconciliation and unity with Fatah and other factions?
Unfortunately, Palestinians are divided, and usually we are sad to talk about Palestinian divisions, especially publicly in international media, but only to clarify it. From day one after the division happened in 2007, despite we were elected government, we were elected by, and we won a vast majority in the parliament, we have said, okay, we are ready to share power with all factions to form a unity government. And then, but it has failed at that time. Then we have met with other parties, mainly now Fatah, especially we are talking about Fatah, especially Fatah, led by Mahmoud Abbas, the President Mahmoud Abbas in Ramallah. We have met in Cairo, in Istanbul, in Moscow, in China, in different capitals around the world. And all the time we have reached an agreement how to proceed forward, how to reach our final goal by ending this division and forming a unity political body or a unity government and uniting all the institutions. But unfortunately, these agreements were not implemented by the head of the Palestinian PLO, which is President Abbas, mostly because of external pressures. Look, once we have reached an agreement in Cairo, and at that time, President Abbas received a clear message from President Obama. Either you go for negotiations with Israel or you go for reconciliations with Hamas. Either you go for peace or you go the other way with these groups of fighters. He was under heavy pressure from the Americans, from some Europeans, from some countries in the region, that he failed to implement all the agreements we have reached along the years. But we are still calling for an immediate meeting to reach an agreement about ending the division and reaching unity, because we cannot defeat our enemy while we are divided. And the only party who is profiting of this division is the enemy, the Israelis.
Mr. Naim, what does Hamas see as the necessary political pathway toward a lasting peace and the realization of Palestinian national rights? Would you be willing to accept the immediate creation of a Palestinian state in the West Bank and Gaza Strip alongside the state of Israel, as is the traditional proposal of the United Nations?
Look, we in Hamas, we have said it in our political document 2016 that yes, we are ready to accept if the Palestinians together came to a consensus that we are ready to accept a Palestinian state on 67 borders with Jerusalem as a capital and preserving the right of return for all Palestinians, for 7 million Palestinians who were forcefully displaced from their homeland. We are ready to accept this. We are ready to facilitate this. We are ready to cooperate. But if we can achieve this politically through negotiations or through the pressure from the international community, from the UN, based on international UN resolutions and international law, this is the preferable way. I mean, if we can reach it politically through negotiations or through diplomacy or Security Council resolutions. But if not, we have all the right, according to international law, to resist the occupation until we get rid of this occupation and have our own land, independent, self-sovereign state. Again, resistance is a tool. It is not a goal in itself. The goal is to have an independent Palestinian state. If we get it legally or politically through negotiations, it is welcomed. But unfortunately, the international community has failed along 76 years to fulfill its obligation by obliging Israel to have another state, a Palestinian state. When Israel was recognized in 1960 and 1949 as a full member state of the United Nations, at that time, this recognition of Israel from the international community was bound to two conditions. One, having a Palestinian state. Second, to guarantee the right of return for all Palestinians. These two conditions are not fulfilled. Therefore, the legitimacy of the state of Israel is undermined by the absence of a Palestinian state. It is undermined by blocking the right of return. Therefore, it is not our crime that the international community has failed to do its homework. And finally, I have to say, to have a Palestinian state, to recognize the other state or not, this is not a precondition. You cannot ask all the countries around the world as a precondition, you have to recognize this country or that country. This will be done by the states when they are there in real time. You cannot ask a state to recognize another state while it is not still existing. We have to have the Palestinian state, and this state, according to rules and regulations, according to law, legislations, they can decide which country or which state to recognize or not. But you cannot ask Palestinians, individuals. I am not asking each individual in Brazil about his position or his stance about China or Russia or Guatemala or Chile. This is not the duty of individuals or parties. This is the duty of states.
Mr. Naim, Hamas founding documents spoke of throwing Jews into the sea or something like that. Is that still Hamas' position?
Look, we have said it many times and repeatedly. First of all, our struggle against the Zionist project, against the state of Israel, has nothing to do with our relationship to Judaism or Jews. We have lived with Jews for centuries, not only in Palestine, in Egypt, in Morocco, in Iraq, in Syria, everywhere. Jews, Christian, and Muslims, they have lived for centuries together. There was no problem when it comes to religion. The problem started when a group of people have converted this religion into a political project, which is the Zionist project. Therefore, our problem is with the Zionist project, with the state of Israel, as a reflection of a political ideology, but not as a state for Jews or Judaism. We have a lot of friends everywhere around the world who are Jews and fighting for our cause. Yesterday and the days before, we have seen a lot of Jews in America were arrested because they have shouted against American officials who are supporting Israel. Therefore, our political document, which was issued in 2016, it was clear. We are fighting or struggling for our homeland, for our state, not against Jews. We are struggling, we are fighting against the Zionist project, against the occupation. Regardless, I am not asking anyone who is driving a tank and to destroy my house if he is a Jew or a Muslim, because we have some Muslims in the IDF, and we have some Christian, we have some Druze. We are not asking anyone who are driving a car or driving an airplane about his religion. I am fighting against someone who is attacking my house, who is killing my children, and who is taking my land, regardless of his religion, of his ethnicity, of his race, of his color. Therefore, again, we have no problem with Jews. We are only fighting and struggling against the occupation. If we have our state, our back, our land back, I think that's it. And we are people who are making or loving life and want to have a better future for their children, want to have their input in making good deeds for all people around the world, for all human beings, not only for ourselves. And I think all people have seen during these last 17 months how Palestinians, despite of the massacres, despite of slaughtering on a daily basis, 53,000 Palestinians killed, most of them are children and women. Despite of this, the expression of Palestinians in the media still are very human, very rational, very kind, that we are looking only for our rights. We are looking only to get rid of the occupation.
Is Hamas' proposal to build an Islamic state in Palestine?
Look, you can go back to our documents as a political party, and you can go back to our activities as a government. I was the Minister of Health, and I was the Minister of Youth and Sport, and I was the Minister of Prisoners for some time, along years and years. We have worked based on the Palestinian law and Palestinian rules and regulations, which was founded in 1993 by our late President Yasser Arafat, who founded this in 1993 after Oslo Agreement. We have used the same rules and regulations, and never we have called to found an Islamic state. Yes, most of our people are Muslims. Most of our, especially social rules and regulations when it comes to marriage or divorce or all these issues are based on Islamic rules and regulations, but this is the case also in Egypt or in Tunis or everywhere. But generally, again, we have adopted and worked based on the rules and regulations which was founded by the Palestinians in 1993.
My last question, Mr. Naim, what could the international community, and particularly Brazil, do to help the Palestinians have their right to self-determination respected?
I think they have the tools to do it, either in one shot by adopting a UN Security Council resolution based on Chapter 7, which means that they can, if Israel is not willing to implement this Security Council resolution, they can use military tools to oblige it, or they can do it by boycotting Israel, isolating Israel, preventing or army transport to Israel, by implementing arrest warrants issued by the ICC, supporting the decisions of the ICG. I think there are a lot of tools to oblige Israel. Israel cannot continue doing this without the international support. Israel is enjoying the impunity not to be accountable for its crimes because of the international support. Israel is behaving as a rogue state. Israel is behaving as a spoiled boy in the region. Israel, by the way, is not only attacking and killing Palestinians. We have seen it in Lebanon. They have signed an agreement, and this agreement was observed by 5 parties, and they are attacking Lebanon every day. They are attacking in Syria without any provocation. They are attacking in Yemen. They are attacking in Jordan, everywhere. They are talking about the greater state of Israel, which is including not only Palestine and Jordan and Lebanon and part of Syria and even part of Iraq and part of northern Saudi Arabia and part of Sinai. This is what they are dreaming of now. And they are talking about this officially. I'm talking about ministers like Ben Gvir and Smotrich and others. This is what is destabilizing the whole situation in the region, and the region will not enjoy any kind of security and stability without solving this problem.
Mr. Naim, I wanted to thank you very much for your time and for this very important conversation. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation, and good luck.
Thank you also very much, and I was honored to be with you, and my best wishes and greetings for you and through you to all our friends, brothers and sisters in Brazil.
Thank you, Mr. Naim.
Please, thank you very much.
Também agradeço a todas e todos que assistiram a esse programa, em especial aquelas e aqueles que puderam fazer contribuições financeiras ao nosso site e ao canal de Ópera Mundi no YouTube. Sem vocês, nosso trabalho não seria possível e não faria sentido. Um grande abraço a todas e a todos.